Ladies and gentlemen, Guru Nanak said the wonderful thing in yesterday's sermon. He said, if you are attached to things, you better not die. Write that down. So that's what you're all going to do, right? You're not going to die, right? Which one can you stop? Death or attaching to things? But most people are far more concerned about trying to prolong death as much as they can. If they put in half of that energy, a tenth of that energy, into actually freeing themselves from attachment, they will not need to fear death. That's the thing. People are so ignorant. Ignorant fools. Not you. I'm saying people. People who have not come across the Dhamma are ignorant fools. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you say the same thing? I have proven it to you logically. Why it is so that they are ignorant fools. Not because they hurt me, harm me or anything. I've got nothing to do with that. There's no part of me in that equation. They're ignorant fools because they think happiness comes to them from the outside world. They think happiness comes to them from the other people, other things. And so what do? They go on attaching themselves to all these things out there in the hope that one day it will bring them happiness. Does it? Does it? No. You know something Einstein once said? He said, if you keep on doing the same thing expecting a different result, that, my dear fellow men, is insanity. He was right. Don't you keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. When you had your first child, what did you want from your child? Happiness. What did you get? Fear. So what did you try and do? Have another one. When you got married the first time, come on. When you got married the first time, what did you want out of that marriage? Happiness. What happened? Betrayal. Heartache. Almost a heart attack. Then, ultimately, she left. Or someone else took her. Then what did you do? You found another one. What are you on? Happy cow. Not the Buddha, I'm saying Einstein said this. Put the Buddhists to aside. Einstein said it. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. I'll forgive you because you had no alternative when you made those unwise choices. But now you do. Now you can't make use of the same excuse. Most people don't have an alternative because there's vexation building up. You need to free yourself from vexation. You have to do something. Yeah? And if you think happiness is going to come from the next wife, you have to go and get her. You know that the previous wife taught you many lessons. You remember them. They've left an indelible mark, sometimes even physically. But still, the vexation's building up, so you have no choice but to go get another one. What do? No alternative. But now you have an alternative. I'm trying to show you what the Buddha has given you. The Buddha has given you an alternative, one that you never had. Yes or no? I'm asking all of you and each and every one of you. Has the Buddha not given you an alternative that you never thought you had? There you go. How much are you willing to give up for him then? By him, I don't mean him because he's no longer with us. I mean the cause that he represented. The cause. He gave you an alternative because he wanted you to choose that alternative. So that you could finally walk the right path to happiness. The Noble Eightfold Path. No other path takes you to happiness, ladies and gentlemen. Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhya. There is only one path that leads all sentient beings to happiness. That is the Noble Eightfold Path. No other path. How do we know this? How do we know that no other path leads us to unconditional happiness? Who should we ask? Which book should we read? You need to go to the library to check that. Whose evidence? We are all evidence. That's why you have all come here looking for an alternative. This is the Buddha's alternative. The Buddha's guide to happiness. It's an alternative to the choices that you have all been making throughout your lives. Might as well, folks. There may be some who will ask, what if Swaminatha, the Buddha got it wrong? What if the Buddha got it wrong? You are asking us to walk this path. You're asking us to come and become anagarikas and anagarikas one day and become monks and enter into the sasana and go on to attain Nibbana. What if that doesn't work out? So here's my question in return. Did you check all the right things and do the balances before you chose all the other things to do? All of the other paths that you took until the Noble Eightfold Path was presented to you. All of the other paths that you took, how many of them? Countless. Yeah? Becoming a mother, becoming a father, becoming a friend, becoming an enemy, and all the different professions that you've tried, you've dabbled your fingers in, all the different things you've eaten, all the places you've been, all the films you've seen, all the things you've done, all of these things were paths, weren't they? Paths to what? What were you hopeful? That they would get you to the destination of what? Happiness. Did they? No. So it was okay to choose those paths before checking them. But when the Buddha comes and says, there is another path, now people are very unsettled. What if that's the wrong path? There's no English term for this that quite describes what I have to say. But how kalakani, ladies and gentlemen? Just that thinking process. Just for one to question. What if this path is wrong? Well, what about all the other paths that you have chosen so far? Have they been right? Is there anything you have to sacrifice? I ask you. Have any of you found anything of value, anything that was worth your efforts, that you have to now sacrifice to walk the path that the Buddha laid down for you? Anyone? Anyone? Are your children yours to keep? Are your husbands and wives yours to keep? Are the houses you have, the property you have, the cars you have, is your prestige that you have earned yours to keep? Will they know you after you're gone? You will be the late mister for some time. After that, you will be in the toilet, mister. People will not know about you. Your children will give you an almsgiving maybe for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. After that, they have things to do. They'll forget you. I was thinking about this yesterday. People who don't even walk into the temple, even after they're dead, and with no devotion, no commitment to the sasana, after they're dead, it is only the sasana that is there to benefit them. But while they're alive, they don't want anything to do with the sasana. They don't come to the temple or anything. There are some people like that, unlike you. They'll claim to be Buddhists, some not, right? But there's nowhere to benefit them. But ultimately, when all is said and done, and after they have failed utterly in life, and they are now dead, and now they have become pretas or whatever, now the children have to come to the temple and offer alms and invite them. At least now come and get some merits. Then they come. Then they come. When they could have come earlier. If they had come then, they would not need to have come now. So what do you have, what have you all achieved that you need to sacrifice? Is there anyone in this room who can put their hand up and say, Swaminatha, I am not willing to walk the path that the Buddha laid down for me because I have to sacrifice X, Y, or Z. What is that thing that you have to sacrifice? Because if you tell me that is what you have to sacrifice, you have to prove to me that that brings you eternal happiness. Give me one. We don't have time for many. Give me one. See, I'm making it easy for you. Right? I'm even saying we don't have time for a lot, so don't all stand up and give me things, just give me one. No one. There is nothing to sacrifice because we have achieved nothing.